Welcome to the squad. He's Ice Water. I'm Puma. And the squad is sponsored by Rayon Cognac. Join the movement. Contact us at www.rayoncognac.com. March Madness. I don't know what to say. We just watched the game, Duke and UConn. And if you didn't watch that game, go back and watch it. I know CBS rebroadcast the game. That was a heck of a game. And UConn came out victorious. And you probably already know because they're going to show the last second shot over and over again, like the Duke Kentucky game in Leitner. But we're also going to be talking about NBA basketball. We're going to be talking about Tiger Woods. He had some misfortunes a little bit earlier in the weekend. We're also going to give you our last second shot. We'll talk about some other things, but let's go to March Madness, man. And your team got bounced out. The team that was going to win it. My team got bounced out. I had St. John's. You had Houston. We can talk about those games, but like I said last week, I've been watching more college basketball this year than any other year that I can remember, and I watched a lot of the Big 12 because of AJ at BYU. He was must see TV, and I caught a number of Houston's games, and I could tell that Houston wasn't going to be that team that was like the same team for 2 years. I mean, we were expecting them to win something in the last 2 years, and we're big fans of Coach Sampson. And then St. John's, I just kind of felt they were going to win, and Bells wanted to be a hero again and then pass the ball, give him a chance, get a good 3-point shot. And I was talking to Pop yesterday, and I was saying, hey, Duke shouldn't even be in the tournament at this particular point, because Siena should have took them out, and they've been kind of struggling being the number one overall seed, and UConn finally just got. Your thoughts on March Madness, man? It's been a wonderful ride. I hate the end of this stuff, but it got to end somewhere. But it's been exciting.
It has been, and I'm gonna get directly to the point as you mentioned my choice, Houston. I was so I wasn't hurt. I was kind of more mad because I had in my brain, no, in my heart. How about that? In my heart, I had a soft spot for Calvin Sampson.
Yeah.
We were a jump shot away from winning last year. I said we because I selected them last year. Then I ran it back this year. I was thinking about it in my heart because I wanted them to win, right? But in my head, I was like. I was looking for teams I've been talking about all year long. I thought about Michigan, and Michigan's a damn good team. They're still around. But it's one team I think that I really thought would win all, but I was mad at them because they let me down previously. That's Arizona. I think Arizona is the best team right now. I like Michigan, and they're playing with a lot of moxie and a lot of flavor. But I think Arizona's like, yeah, they just that tough the toughness from that standpoint. There's a lot of things. I mean, when you think about that, I want to start with that game. We talk about a lot of other games, but the game with UConn and Duke, I think I turned that game out several times and whatever back and forth, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't take it. I can't because I don't want to see them get blown out. That's UConn, of course. But when you look at it from the standpoint of it was Duke was in total control in the first half, and they led 44-29 at halftime. And then you come back in the second half, and UConn outscored them 44-28. That was a hell of a game. And UConn struggled. They usually hit a lot of threes. They struggled from the three-point line. They shot 22% from three. They were 5 of 23 from three-point line, right? And we had heard all along about people talking about wait till the Boozers come together. And they had that one game in the tournament, and they did. They had that game. They combined for 42 points. Cameron Boozer had 27. Brother Caden stepped up and had 15 points. And this was the game, right? This is the game where the Boozers took over and showed you how dominant they were. But UConn is relentless. I love their coach and the way he interacts with his players. They kept coming on and on. But in that regard, too, you think about it from this standpoint, UConn had 5 turnovers, right? Duke had 13 turnovers.
You want to. This is what I
Yeah.
said to another buddy of mine. Duke folded like a lawn chair towards the end of that game because they had control of that game. But Reed Jr., some NBA teams going to be happy with him because they could not handle him, and they choked at the end. The Boozers choked at the end. One of our guys on our squad challenge, Baller, said, "Hey man, all you had to do is hold the ball and let him follow. That's all you had
Yeah,
to do." And they just
yeah,
threw it like lawn chairs.
yeah. And when you look from that standpoint, here's even deeper. So as I mentioned before, Duke had 13 turnovers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Boozers were responsible for seven of the 13 turnovers.
Over half of the turnovers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They both one had four, one had three. But the way that UConn, I'm just saying that when you gotta look at it for what it is. And the way that UConn came up, and once they got the steal at the end, and you knew that Caravan is always the 3-point shooter. So Mullins gets the steal, he takes it back over the half court, kicks it to Caravan. The bigger Boozer goes out on Caravan to stop him from shooting the ball, kicks it back to Mullins at the logo, and then some, and Mullins buries the shot.
Yeah. Beautiful. 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 And everybody knows I do not like Duke. Got a cousin, Django, used to be on our show when we first started on the podcast. He called me up. He was in the tavern with a bunch of Duke fans, and I'm like, it's very quiet there. He said, "Oh yeah, it's very quiet. It's very quiet." So they were the overall number one seed, and I know that there was a sports writer who said they're probably the weakest number one seed ever
Mhm.
in college basketball. And I never trusted them. I thought they should have been out in the Siena game. The Siena would have played that smart. And they were struggling throughout the whole tournament. And they usually turn it on at the end. But when UConn didn't fade and they kept coming and fighting, I think that did something to the Duke players, especially the younger players, and they just crumbled under the pressure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, from that standpoint, and what can you say about the heart of UConn? They just find a way, man. That was an ugly game for them. Ugly, very ugly game, but they found a way to win, and you got to give it to them. I like the way that they play. I like the way they play hard. And Hurley, he just knows, and sometimes he probably gets really lucky because of the players that he has. But man, they push through, and now we get to move forward. A couple other things too. I know some people have picked Purdue to go a long way. But the one thing I mentioned before about Purdue, and I think it rang true, was the fact that they were small. They've always been small. The center, their players like Dennis Rodman is all over the place. And when Smith, the guard Smith, got hurt, he messed his ankle up. He couldn't do too much more, and they were limited. When you play a big team like Arizona, right, it's just too much, and you just saw the dominance. And that's why it's great to have guard play and whatnot too. But size is crazy. So you think about the size. You think about teams like Iowa State that are big, Arizona's big, Michigan's big, very athletic. Even Duke is big. They cause Purdue problems. They always cause Purdue problems, and they had a nice little run, but in the end, it came down to what it is. So now we got that Final Four, and kudos to Illinois. I'm not
What was
even
your
going.
last show? I
Yeah,
had a
you
feeling.
did.
Yeah.
I I was like, nah, Houston gonna get them. But when you look at how Illinois beat Houston and handle Iowa, they were impressive. They really were impressive coming out the South. And then, of course, we just talked about UConn coming out the East. And then the Midwest, Michigan just kind of ran through both Bama and Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but kudos to Tennessee, because Tennessee, nobody saw that coming.
No.
I watched them all year. I thought they were very physical. I liked the way that they played, but they were just outmatched when it came to Michigan. And then, of course, Arizona just ran through Arkansas and ran through Purdue. So uh, with that being said, coming up for the Final Four, Arizona versus Michigan in the semifinals, I think that's going to be top notch. And then you have UConn and Illinois. I really want to see Arizona versus Michigan because I've been calling out them two teams all year long, and here we are.
Yeah, and let's go quick to our squad's March Madness challenge. There are also four people still in the runnings for that. you have Dredd, who is now number one. He's been down low all tournament. Now he's number one with 83 points, followed by Ice with 80. Lindsey Mama, she has Michigan also. Dredd and Lindsey Mama has Michigan. She has 78 points at third. Drake had Purdue, but he falls to number four. Baller, he has Arizona still in the mix, 76 points. Southside Al lost with Duke. He has 73 points. I'm behind him in seventh place. I have St. John's at 72 points. Pop has Arizona, but he has 51 points. And he, according to him, he's still in the buggy. And Windhawk has 50 points, and he had Houston. And then there was four in the final four. You have Illinois at Connecticut. You have Michigan at Arizona. One of the things that really impressed me about Illinois is that they learned a lot. It seemed like they learned a lot from that Michigan game that they lost at the end of the season, where their defense was atrocious. And they just started, I mean, really hammering on defense. I think the halftime score of the Houston game was 24-22. I've never seen Houston score that. I mean, just no points in halftime. They just couldn't get going. And then Illinois start pulling away from them. And they tried at the end of the game to hit some threes and come back, but it was a little bit too little too late. And against Iowa, Illinois just really kind of hammered Iowa and really kind of just got up into players. Wagler got a little tougher. You couldn't push him around anymore. I think that loss, and usually when they say you have losses towards the end of the season, it teaches you what you need to work on. Other teams are looking at the tape to see how they can beat you, and then they made the adjustment. So kudos to Illinois. I know it's going to be a barn burner this coming weekend with the Final Four against UConn. Those are two deserving teams. And then Michigan. Michigan is going back to how they started at the beginning of the season, blowing out teams by 30 and just playing with reckless abandon. That's going to be the game. I guess that's the I know the 7:49 game or the late game, the second game. That's going to be the one that everybody wants to see. But I truly want to see both games because I think it's going to be some great basketball. You got freshmen. You got I'm falling in love with Reed Jr. from UConn. I see him as a beast, and like I'm wondering who he's going to go to. Hey, Knicks, go get him. You need a low post player. I'm seeing who he gets to. The women, they had some games today. UConn beats Notre Dame, and UCLA beat Duke. And I know they're coming to the Final Four. They're playing on Monday night. But my question to you is, who can beat the UConn women? Because I don't see anybody beating them at this particular point.
They look amazing. If there's a team that can beat them, and I'm not saying this out of bias, and maybe I am a little bit, but I think that it's going to take a special effort by the players, but I think it's going to be some special efforts by his coaching as well. I think South Carolina has a chance just because Don Staley knows how they play and what has happened in the last couple of years. I think she would, try to get her team to step up. And they may not be as talented as they have been in the past, right? In regards to star-studded and whatnot. But this is the type of team that maybe Don Staley can really get her team to step up and really go after it. When you think about that from the standpoint too, UCLA, I like UCLA. I just don't know if UCLA has enough personnel.
I was watching them today. I'm not sure they do either.
Yeah, I like Kiki and I like the big girl. I like their center.
She's stuttering because she's pretty, huh?
Yeah, look. I don't want to try to just get caught up in anything like that too. It's kind of like that commercial. You like, here I am. No, but no, she's amazing. She's a heck of a player and she's gorgeous. But she's a girl. I just don't think that they have enough talent to hang. That's why I think that if a team is really going to go after them and really contend with them, it's probably going to be South Carolina if they, if they make it to the final. If they beat them, I think it's going to be South Carolina if they're able to advance.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if anybody upsets UConn at this particular point. It seems like it's their year, and Gino's talking smack about all the things that are going wrong, and we should be treated better and all that other stuff. So hopefully that doesn't come back and bite them. But it is what it is. Let's go to
Wait a minute though. Let me ask you a question though.
yeah.
Before you're not getting off of that. Let's talk about the men. You got to make a prediction for the Final Four since we in here.
Oh man, I'd already picked Arizona to get to the final game. I picked St. John's to get to the final game, but I hate to go against Illinois, but this is Illinois' first time being in this situation in a long time, and UConn is used to it. And so I gotta lean to the more experienced team and the more experienced coach in this particular game. So I gotta go with maybe UConn and Arizona, and then maybe UConn could muster up some more magic and win for the third time. I really sometimes you have teams of destiny, and what I saw today, teams of destiny. I mean, they were out of it. They were out of it. They were supposed to be gone, and they just did not relent. And they came back, and Duke just couldn't handle it. They took out the number one seed, overall seed. So why not them winning a national championship?
Wow, interesting. Okay,
Why
okay.
Duke?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Well, so I'm with you. I think UConn beats Illinois just because, like I just said, I think the experience. Hurley's been there, and I think Illinois, as I told you before, well, I thought Houston would get them. There are a lot of jump shooters. They do certain things, and they were on fire against Houston, right? They couldn't miss anything. But the way that UConn won this game, this last game, was so ugly. As you say, maybe a team of destiny or a team that just is going to give you it all. I think that's going to cause a problem because my question is going to be as well, who's going to, from Illinois, they have a couple big fellas, who's going to check your boy Reed?
Yeah,
And once Reed gets going, then he's going to kick that ball outside. And I think it's going to be, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I'm not sure if we'll see UConn shoot that bad again, especially the way that they shot 22% from three. I think they'll be on. They're very tenacious. I think they'll put a lot of hardcore D. They'll be physical with Illinois. And I think it's going to remind Illinois of Big Ten basketball again. And that might cause them a problem. So I want to go with UConn. On the flip side, on the other side, one hell of a matchup between Arizona and Michigan. I think Michigan can win the game, but I think Arizona got something to prove, right? They have something to prove. So I'm gonna go Arizona because Arizona is like when you saw they were down before, right? Earlier in the game and they come back and they just go like we're not gonna stop. You were thinking then that the game was so close that they might lose, but they just had that run where they just kind of went on a terror spurt and just went pew, and then just it went from being down, coming back, being up two, being up four, 14, for you know they're up 15. And I'm like, they do not stop. They do not stop. So I'm gonna go with Arizona versus UConn. And I think Arizona is gonna win, but I ain't mad at UConn. In the way I want UConn to win now, because I've been picking them for a while. Then let me put it this way. I'm choosing Arizona. And let me say this. If UConn, and this is just my opinion, my observation, you guys might say I'm crazy because I chose Houston. That's okay. Y'all can clown me. But let me say this. If UConn advances to the finals and somehow or another Michigan beats Arizona, I think UConn is definitely more likely to win that championship.
mm.
Because I think you could, don't get me wrong, Michigan has been dynamite. I've been talking about them all year, but sometimes they just get so, I think they had this R about them, like Duke had, and that plays right into UConn, what they do. Arizona is so, they haven't won in whatever, they just playing hard, but I think that UConn would have a better chance against Michigan than they would against Arizona.
Yeah. You do realize that Charles Schleppbrock Barkley picked Arizona, and usually when he picks a team, thank you, Charles, for picking Duke today. When he picks a team, they usually go down in flames. So every time we try to get Charles's picks before we pick our picks because he's just automatic, automatically going to pick the wrong team, and he's picking Arizona all the way. However, you got Pop in the buggy, and you got Baller picking Arizona. So good luck to them. And you got Dred and Yinzer Mama picking Michigan. So they got the two teams. One of them has to go. So
So
that's
you know what that means then. So with that being said, with Michigan, whatever, so if Michigan advances
yeah.
and if Charles Barkley saying what he's saying, that means UConn gonna win again.
Yeah, and it would be interesting. It would be so storybook if Michigan and Illinois come back again, and then Illinois get that get back. I would
Uh,
love to see that Big
I
Ten
know
match.
you would,
I would
but
love to see that matchup, and Illinois gets them again. I don't
and
know.
you sound
Illinois is
like
kind of like I worked for the university, and so it's kind of like
right.
I'm kind of holding on to them a little bit.
Okay, look, okay, Charles Jr., you just because I got the Europeans and everybody went, oh, it's a great story. You got the Europeans playing, they're really showing you they're changing basketball. Next.
All right. NBA. It's on now. The Knicks and OKC is on now. It's a close game, and I think going into the fourth quarter, we're doing this show or taping it late. Uh, you got the Pistons. They have a hurt star down. The Pistons are leading the Eastern Conference, followed by the Celtics and the Knicks. They're trying to get up a little bit, followed by the Cavaliers, who are fourth. The Raptors, the Hawks are number six. They've been playing well lately, 8-2 in the last 10, and the Sixers at number seven, and the Magic at number eight. And they're kind of going on the downward, kind of 3-7 in the last 10. And I'm not sure what's going on over there. If you look at the Western Conference, you have the Thunder number one, Spurs number two, the Lakers, who are 9-1 in the last 10, are number three, followed by the Nuggets, the Timberwolves number five, the Rockets at number six, number seven, the Suns. Nobody's really talking about the Suns, but they've been trying to hang in there and get in the top eight. And the Clippers, who are 6-4 in their last 10, they're number eight. I'm not going to talk about the teams under eight because that can switch and maneuver. You have to play in games. I still don't understand how they do that. But I'm looking at some of these teams. I don't think that the Lakers really want that third spot because they'll have to play the Rockets. And I'm not sure. I think they'll get an easy exit in that first round. Or if they go under the Nuggets, they might be playing the Timberwolves. I don't know if that young team is, too much for the Lakers at this particular point. So looking at the Eastern Conference, it's still the top three are still trying to maneuver to see which one. I would have never thought at the beginning of the season and midway to the season or midway through the season that the Celtics would be number two. Milwaukee, oh my God, they're falling to number 11. Usually they're in the top four. And the Cavaliers, I'm not sure where they're going to be. I'm not, the jury's still out. But a team that people are very, very afraid of, and they may be in the play-in, are the Hornets. So I know you've been talking about them all year. Take over with the NBA news, man.
LaMelo Ball and Mr. Miller in Charlotte are a problem. They're must-see TV. They look like the Globetrotters when they play, but they play hard and they play with reckless abandon. I love watching them play teams that are supposed to be so much better than them talent-wise. It's like you playing the guys playing at the park and they don't care. We took that shot, and sometimes they actually win. So I think they could be major. I think with that being said, with them being 10, they would play nine, which would be Miami Heat, and then the 7 and 8 will play, and then that's how it will work from that standpoint. The loser would play one team, and then the winner would play the next team. That's the higher seed, which would be Philadelphia. So I like them. I do like the Pistons from the standpoint of we're looking at maybe another, was it 8 games in a couple weeks
Yeah, I remember
left
you
in the
saying that
season?
about eight more games.
Yeah, about 8 more games, and they're up by four. I don't see them crashing like that. But it's going to be very interesting because James Harden slept rock is in Cleveland. We'll see if that holds true, which means they will probably play Toronto in the first
Yeah.
round. So many things going on from that standpoint. As you said, Milwaukee's eliminated, which is really sad. And then when you look at the West, what's going to be interesting is that you mentioned Lakers versus Rockets. I love to see Durant versus LeBron, or no, Durant versus Luca in that series. Because I think at some point, because they lost earlier to LA, and Durant said the reason why he lost because he's supposed to score more points, and he says, I'm the scorer." And I love to see him go up against that. I don't want to see in the first round Denver versus Minnesota, but that's what we're going to get. that happens with the 4 and the 5, that's going to be a hell of a series. Luka Doncic is just man. It's hard to explain that. I love watching this game because it's so basic, but it's amazing in that sense. And then also on the flip side, you think about Anthony Edwards.
Mhm.
The more I watch him, the more I hear him, the more I love his game because you can tell he has an appreciation for the old school.
Mhm.
Like he said, one of the best things that happened to him is playing on the Olympic team and listening to Steph Curry, listening to LeBron James. And he loves Durant. They joke all the time, but he goes, receiving that knowledge and taking it in is like second to none. You can just see it in his game. He got a little swagger. He used to be a little mouthy and he seemed like too much, but now it's like he's really grabbing in. He's looking like he's really developing into the superstar that we want to see. So I'm looking forward to that. One team, and I know Golden State may make it because they are the 10th seed, but one team that could be dangerous, it might even be Golden State in the playoff in the playing game is Portland.
Yeah,
Portland's dangerous.
77-3 in the last 10. Yeah.
Portland is kind of dangerous. They have talent, they had size. I know they have issues with the coach going through his thing, but despite that, they are close to making moves. They remind me a little bit of Charlotte because they have size and they're ready to go. I think with a little bit of tinkering, not too much, because that's what happens. They get all excited, they make too many big moves. Little tinkering, Portland could be making some moves in the future. So I hope they don't do too much, and I like to see them as well.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm going to wait until the NCAA tournament is over to really concentrate on the NBA. I'll have my little mourning period after the championship game, and then I'll concentrate more on NBA. And then the baseball season just started. It's not really too much to report. Pop was teasing me about the Yankees. They're winning, I guess, against the San Francisco Giants. I'm not worried about the Yankees. I don't even want to see the Yankees unless they're going to get into the World Series at this particular point. And you know how I feel about that. But we'll be coming up with the MLB report, and it should be an exciting year. I think the Cubs are really focusing in on PCA here and getting him a new contract. And so it should be interesting. And they're already putting up memes that the White Sox are already eliminated from the playoffs. So that's Chicago. Tiger Woods, man. I think he can afford a driver. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, man. They said that, he did the breathalyzer test and it was zero point 0, so he wasn't drunk, but there's something else going on. You said this a long time ago. He on that shit. I don't know what that shit is, but he on that shit. And so he needs an intervention. One of my cousins who texted me about it, he's like, he needs an intervention. And I think he's close to Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, and all these folks, man. And it makes you wonder: have these guys ever sat him down? Like, look, man, what you're going through, let's figure it out, so you don't kill yourself, because he's been getting some close calls and turning over cars and vehicles, and some people don't walk away from that. So I'm not sure what kind of shit he's on, but he got to turn this around pretty, because he's supposed to play in the Masters in the next
No,
week or so. And
no.
he doesn't seem like he's in any position or in the mind state to do anything.
No, I agree, and know people saw me sneakering and laughing a little bit, and I'm not laughing at the situation for
No,
him.
we're
I'm
not.
laughing
We're not.
about we're talking about the comment when he said, "I'll say he on that shit," because I recognize that when I see it,
Yeah.
and what's really sad about it is most of the times is he's probably on stuff like something like opioids, right, for pain, and when you see stuff like that too, you can see how he's really groggy. Tiger Woods, I believe, and I'm no doctor, but Tiger Woods is in serious pain. He was had issues before with pain medication, and as much as he wants to get out there and be in the Masters and play, even on the senior tour at 50, right? He's in pain. People that are in real pain, sometimes they over medicate. And the reason why I say I see that he's on that, as we said, is because you think about it. He's flipped 2 cars. And most times, unless you are messing around with the police department, when you flip cars, you go at a high rate of speed. And some people, when they're on medication, those high end medication opioids, they become what we call listless. where you're not really paying attention and you just doing something and you don't really understand. So it's almost like you're almost in a state of tranquility slash sleep, right? You're awake, but you're asleep at the same time. And to hit a car, or like the last time when he rode down in that ravine,
Yeah.
you're going so fast, speed, and to turn the car over with, think how much that car weighs that he was driving. It was huge, like a big SUV or something to that
Yeah.
effect. And it's on the side. You know how hard he had to hit something to flip it over or make a wrong turn? To me, it just has all the signs of him having some more issues with opioids, and he's so desperate to get back, to try to do something, to be able to play. His back is hurting him, something's hurting him, and he's doing it. And I think he is too proud and somewhat a little arrogant. And I'm Tiger Woods. I can drive my own damn self. I don't need you to tell me. But deep down inside, he's showing a lot of signs of being in serious pain that may not subside ever. He has all these surgeries. Every time you hear about him, Tiger has surgery again. Tiger, I don't know how. I wonder if he knows what it's like not to be on pain medication.
Yeah.
Sad,
Yeah.
sad.
And I'm looking at the photo now and seeing the truck, on its side. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, you had to really be doing something really fast and a
Mhm.
knee-jerk reaction, maybe waking up or something to flip a vehicle that heavy on its side like that. And it seemed like it's in a residential area. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's in a residential area. Why are you going that fast? But I hope he gets the help he needs, because I'm thinking if he has friends or family or whoever, like, hey, sit him down, like, listen, what can we do to manage this? And then hire a driver. It is not weakness if you need an Uber or a driver to get you where you need to go. Because at this rate, this is the second time you're getting a second chance at this. And I don't know how many other incidents he had that we don't know about driving. So, geez, I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. I don't know if it's just the pressure of him being Tiger Woods and he feels like he has to live up to it. But you don't have anything to prove to anybody, man. You don't. You really don't. So, intervention, counseling, something to manage the pain or manage whatever you're going through, whether it's physical or mental. But man, you're getting another lifeline, and you don't get too many of those. You don't get too many of those. Your last second shot, man.
Yep. Last second shot. When I'm wrong, I come on here and I tell y'all sometime. But anyway, when I'm wrong, try to be transparent. WNBA signed a new CBA contract, and I was wrong about something. I was wrong because I never thought the NBA would give them part of the gross revenue share. And the WNBA, instead of getting the net revenue share, where they take money, where you receive monies, salaries, and whatnot after the bills have been paid, technically, they had never done that before. This time, in the collective bargaining agreement, which is for 7 years, the players are going to receive 20% of the revenue share for the gross revenue share in this 7 year contract. So with all that being said, let's break it down real quick. So the supermax salaries go from $249,000 to $1.4 million. So now the top players will be millionaires. So 249K to 1.4 mil. The average salary will go from $120,000 to $600,000, okay, per year. All right. The minimum will go from 66,000 to $300,000, right? So when you look at it from that standpoint, the salary cap for the teams is going to go from 1.5 million to 7 million. And I'm happy for them, and they got what they wanted, and they didn't get everything, but they got more with a little taste of some things. They're going to get some housing and whatnot. So now they got more than most people thought. Maybe not all that they wanted, but it's a nice uptick, if you will, in regards to what's going on. One last word of caution on this. Again, Everything is improved. Everything's looking on your favor. Now, to me, with the money being raised and the salaries going up, I think it's going to be less opportunities. Even though they expanded, there's not just the average players are not going to just make it. They're going to have to be the best. So it's going to cut out a lot of women that are not on that level because they're going to expect the best, right? So it's going to be more pressure also to produce. Now you got to earn your money. So you can't just keep going back. And I know I got the TV contract, but you don't have the opportunity just kind of say, well, we lost another 35 million this year. No, because they gave you what you wanted. The pressure is going to be on to produce a quality product that people are going to want to see. So there's no more half-assing with the All-Star games. It could be, but now the pressure is going to be on because the NBA is going to be putting the pressure on you to do that. But again, I think there's going to be tougher competition for players to make teams. And you got everything that you want. All I'm just telling you, just a warning, this warning of advice, not like you need it from me, but you're going to have to produce a better product to keep your fans now.
Yeah. And the tax man cometh, about 40% of that $1.4 million. You better get a good tax person to make sure you pay your taxes. They get their money first, ladies. They get their money first. And every city you play in, they take taxes out of your check. Okay, so don't go spend it in one place. My last second shot is Jay Billis, come to the class, come to the front of the class. Y'all were talking all that shit last week about North Carolina not being a blue blood. You had Duke at the #1 overall seed, and y'all were talking like Duke was going to just run through this tournament and win another championship. Is Duke a blue blood now? Were you saying that when Hubert Davis knocked out Coach K 3 times in the season and ended his career? Be careful what you say about North Carolina, because now you're sitting right on the couch with us and you'll be watching the Final Four and the championship game right along with the rest of us. Take care. See you next week.